Once again to another episode of the Uncensored Truth Podcast. I am your brother, Old God. Sitting beside me as my co-host.
What it do? What's good? It's Sam and Viral Hip Hop News in the building. Another Monday. Oh God, what's good, my brother?
What's going on, man? We in the building, man. As always, we got some of the hottest hip hop topics out there that we're gonna, talk about and give our opinion on. I want to give a shout out to everybody, who's been watching our other videos that we put up. We really appreciate all the commenters on there, the negative and the positive. I just want to make that known to continue to, engage with us, comment and, share and like the video. We definitely appreciate it. But I want to get to this one because this kind of been overlooked, this story. Snoop Dogg sat down, with the Breakfast Club the other day, and it didn't really make a lot of headlines, but, we did listen to it, and we want to talk about, a part of it, but this part we think is real huge because it deals with hip hop, and Snoop Dogg pretty much talking about him pretty much feeling bad about gangster rap, because that with the whole NWA and the West Coast, they kind of had that, they made that shit pop off. So Snoop sat down with the Breakfast Club and he talked about it. I'm gonna let Sam put that up there for y'all.
Yeah, man, let's hear it.
Because I understand the genre. It's not me just, I woke up one morning and wanted to do reggae. No, I always had reggae in me, and when I flew to Jamaica, the spirit of reggae took over me, and it became me. It became my life because I was there and I was doing it. Now with the gospel record, it's always been in me, so if I jump into a gospel project, it's not like this is something I'm just starting to do. It's always been in me. Now I can actually exercise the ability of making this kind of music with artists who do this style of music.
Mm-hmm. Are you bored with hip-hop? Is that why you do it a little bit too?
I wouldn't say I'm bored, but you got to know when it's time for you to take the backdrop and take the high road. I mean, I've been on top for a long time in the hip hop industry, and now I see myself sliding to the back, which is cool with me because I respect the youngsters that have the game in control right now, and I don't have no problem with trying to be what I'm not. I had my run, like Baby Girl was on it the other day. She said she had her fun in the sun. Now she is the sun.
Jennifer Lewis, yeah.
I feel that same. I felt that line for real. I felt like I've had my day in the sun. And now I am the sun because I shine on everybody and I give everybody the opportunity to shine when they with me. I'm not a hater. I don't, crush your dreams or your spirits, whether you're a new artist, whether you're an artist from the South, whether you're an artist that's trying to be like somebody and trying to figure out who you're trying to be. I don't, throw no stones at you because I understand you may be trying to develop who you are.
But at the same time, you're like, what is hip-hop coming to?
Yeah, because
sometimes when you see people going on social media, and that's how they're getting their clout.
Because I was raised off of hip-hop the appropriate way. As far as like my elders taught me, the Run DMCs, the Rakims, the LL Cool J's, the Ice Cubes, they taught us the right way of hip-hop because they would not allow you to not be dope, not be original, not have style. You had to have all of these criterias and credibilities to work with your style in order for you to be appreciated by those forefathers who were in hip-hop. I believe that it's our fault, the generation of the 90s, because we did not teach. We got the game, we took control, we ran with it, and we didn't bother to teach like it was taught to us. So then when the next generation gets a hold of it, if they're not taught, they're going to teach themselves. So I feel like it's our fault, the second generation, and I'm one of the ones who didn't teach. That's why I take my time to teach now because I understand as a grown man, as an older rapper, I can fall into the position of Uncle Snoop and not try to be some old rapper that's hating because your style is dope, you got colors in your hair, you drink lean, you do this. Hey man, do your thing. I don't understand it, but do your thing because they didn't understand me when I came out, when I was cripping, when I was gangbanging, I was doing my thing. They didn't understand that. They ran over my CDs, they tried to bash me, they banned me from certain countries, but I surpassed and I became who I am.
Oh, my father hated that I used to listen to you.
He did?
And my father was, he was a James Brown, George Clinton type of guy. Yeah. So I used to have a big afro and the chucks. And when you had that case, you think you Snoop? You see what he going through? You made me cut my hair because
Well, now he can listen to Bible. Now he can listen to Bible of love and really
now as
he cut it to the root. He gave him a cavatis, son. Give him a cavatis. I want it all gone.
But now he loves Snoop just because of your personality.
He's grown into a grown man. I'm a grandfather now. I've grown into a full grown man. I came out as a 19-year-old rapper that didn't really have no understanding. I was on Death Row Records. They wasn't teaching us nothing. We was wild. We was crazy. We was doing what we wanted to do. You get what I'm saying? Then when I got with No Limit Records, I learned business. Then when I stepped away from No Limit Records, I got with Pharrell and got back with Dr. Dre, and I understood what I was supposed to be doing. And then I created a lane for myself. I reinvented myself. I did things to diversify my portfolio. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a football coach. I wanted to do everything that I wanted to do, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I ain't gonna ask nobody. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it with love.
All right, man, that was some great stuff, man. That was a little excerpt of a very great and long interview that Snoop had. He talked about the Kanyes and et cetera, but that in particular, we want to just expound upon because he alluded to the people that came before him and how he had the OGs teaching them. And now we see this new wave in hip hop where it really just seems disrespectful to the game and just disrespectful to themselves, jumping on social media and having these crazy ass beefs and throwing their stuff out there for people to see and be incriminated for when we see a number of artists being incriminated for. And we just see just a different genre and just even how hip hop is being manufactured and how it's being displayed to us. And we hear Snoop saying it's his fault. It's the people of the 90s, the rappers and the icons of the 90s. Now, I mean, he's definitely one of them. Nas comes to mind real heavy, Jay-Z. Then Pac of Big, obviously, rest in peace, two of the most iconic figures in the 90s. But he's saying it's their fault, the Nas's, Jay-Z's, and Snoops of the world. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's interesting. I guess a little bit of guilt, there. But I would have to ask Snoop, what does he mean by the right way? Because just like he alluded to, people not understanding him. These dudes came, back when they came out, with this gangster rap. And the reason why these CDs were getting ran over and people, were criticizing them is because, in the music, they was promoting drug use, smoking. They were, talking about women, and, in a sexual way, which is two sides to the thing because the women had to come out and do it. I understand that, and another thing we was talking about in the pre-production meeting is that these guys come up in this environment. So it's almost like art imitating life, or life imitating art, whichever way you want to go with it, So I can't really, I do fault them. I do fault them to a certain extent, but at some point when you're young, we all, made a lot of mistakes when we was younger. That's what we talked about. So it's like what Snoop said, once you get older and the way, now you have to do right, and you see the same thing with Jay-Z, it's a steady progression it should be a steady progression with these artists' music into, positivity. Because how long are they going to go and continue to tear down the Black community with the type of music they put out? Because that's what it's doing.
Well, do you think it was a situation where the rappers at hand started seeing a change and they didn't want to accept the fact that there was a new wave coming and they just wanted to kind of keep their buzz and their notoriety going as opposed to kind of riding with the wave and seeing it going because Snoop Dogg alluded to it like it was his fault. Now he's Uncle Snoop. Well, I mean,
is it too late?
Is it too? And I don't want to say it's. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying on the regards of okay, when you were young, you were young. We all were young. We all did dumb shit, and the OGs had to check them. Okay, we get that. So he did his young shit. He got it out the way. He was in the game for a while. We seen him in Death Row. Then we seen him transition into No Limit, where he learned the business. He alluded to that in this interview. And then you started seeing a change in hip hop, like he said. And he was no dummy. He understood the wave was moving and changing. Why not then go and start schooling these young kids when you started seeing the wave as opposed to like what happened between that transition? Once you started seeing the wave shift, why not school then? What were you doing? I mean, we still see Jay-Z. He's still pumping out albums. Phenomenal albums at that. I mean, we listened to 444 and talked about that. We'll get into that later on in the podcast. But we still see some of these older rappers. The Nas is coming out June 15th. The Snoops of the world just dropping albums. They still seem to want to do this, and it's no fault to them on that because they're killing it. You know what I mean? They're not coming out with garbage shit. I haven't heard Snoop's gospel album. I don't know if I will listen to it.
Right.
But I mean, Snoop, his raps have always been dope to me. You know what I mean? And he seems to be really following the wave of social media real well, understanding the game in that. He's one of the most popular people on social media. A lot of people get on him for social media, the old enthusiasts and old appreciative people. Excuse me, the people that are appreciative of Snoop Dogg from old, they get on him about his social media now. But he's smart. He knows what he's doing. So do you think it's a situation where they just kind of still wanted to chase the glory as opposed to teach? Or, I mean, what do you think about that? Like, once that transition began to happen, where were the rappers at then? What do you say to that? And, okay, another question Nas and Jay-Z in particular, because they have to fall into that wave. Did they not teach in their music? What would you say to that? Did they need to do more?
Yeah, they definitely, needed to do more. But I think it's like he's talked about the disconnect. It's almost like, with the age disconnect, they're going to do what they want to do. Just like, because when Snoop talked about like your Run DMCs and the people that came before him, you know what I mean? They was rapping different than Snoop. You know what I mean? Snoop, you know what I mean? He came, now he changed up now, but I mean, go back and listen to old Snoop Dogg. You know what I mean? It was nothing nice. You know what I mean? And like you said, he murder was the case that they get. You know what I mean? I can remember listening to it back then and how like, you know, I shouldn't have been listening to it when I was listening to it. So, you know, all these rappers need to be held accountable, man, and they need to be, you know, asked, you know, why so long have they, you know, got rich? A lot of these dudes got very, very rich, you know what I mean, off of, you know, this gangster music or just a low vibrational music that, you know, is not uplifting to the people, man. It is what it is. It's just not.
Do you think that he hasn't addressed that? Do you think, I mean, he obviously knows that, but do you think that someone needs to kind of approach that situation? Because one thing I don't like, and we've seen it a lot in the T.I. situation, and we alluded to it last week, that it seems like, unfortunately, he's still seen as the rubber band man, the gangster, the one that's still pushing, and he's completely outside of that realm now. He's a grown man where he was in a kid situation. We see a lot of our rappers being a product of their environment, and their environment obviously not being the best, them having to be forced into situations where they had nothing else to do to provide for their family but get into a game and be stigmatized as an animal. We all know the rhetoric. We all know the story. But I mean, when is there a time where they can kind of graduate and become the CEOs of the world and not be to just basically judged for the past? Because it seems like the second something happens or their name is brought out, oh, he was a drug dealer, or he's a convicted felon, or he's this, or he's that. They so easily run back to that. We never get away from that stigma. So when is it going to ever be a point where we have a graduation period and we get out of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. It seems like America, you know, especially, you know, black men, it seems like they try to, you know, we know how it is, you know, once you get one mistake, it's like it's held over your head for the rest of your life. Look at the criminal justice system. You know, most crimes, you do a crime, you know, when you're 18, it still might affect you when you're 35. It's just not fair. We've seen that happen, you know, with Meek Mill. So there's a lot of things, you know, that have to be changed. But if you're talking about the people, you know, taking self accountability for ourselves, that's what we got to do, man. We got to stop, you know, because we got a lot of these things and we got control over. You know, these guys got control over the music they put out. They can say pretty much whatever they want. And I think, contrary that, you know, people may believe that if people started putting out more positive stuff, that the people will also follow that. Just, I'm gonna give you an example of that as well. You know, if you got music talking about kill this, do this, pap your pussy, this, that, I mean, this is what you want to have people doing. But look at other communities. Their role models are lawyers, doctors, businessmen, entrepreneurs. These are their role models. And in our community, it's rappers. So what do you expect? Like, what do you expect, you know, these people coming out in the street doing what they doing, and, you know, we're looked at a certain way and we're presented a certain way. And a lot of these rappers do not help that image. They just don't.
I don't want to, okay, we'll see.
I'm not even trying to be like a dude that's, you know, like banging on them or nothing like that. I'm just keeping it 100 on this one.
Well, one thing that a lot of rappers do now, and we have an advantage on, is our social media platform. And one thing I kind of want to disagree with you on is, yeah, the suburbs or whatever you want to call it, the white jurisdiction of the world or whatever you want to call it. They have the lawyers, the doctors. That's what they attain to. Yeah, we have the musicians and the ball players. Yes, we agree with that. But in a different age that we live in now, these entertainers, they have a voice and a platform like no other. And that's why it's really strong that they put out positive vibrational stuff, because back then we obviously seen that we know what the record labels were pushing, and we didn't understand the agenda behind that. Not everyone, they were talking about a product of their environment, there's no doubt, but there was a lot of things perpetuated and pushed as well with an agenda behind that. In the early 90s, it was drug selling and being the hustler and pumping the drugs, and now it's drug use, and we see that with the Futures and the rappers of the world now perpetuating, you know what I mean, using the drugs. So there's obviously always an agenda behind that. But the difference between now and then is we have a platform outside of the labels in our social media and our other avenues to where we can throw and put out whatever you want. Like you see Meek Mill going out against the lean, and we see Meek Mill and other rappers like we'll talk about, you know what I mean, perpetuating and showing positivity and getting back together in the hip hop game. We have a lot of, it's a time like no other where we can kind of use our voice, and music is so powerful. We talked about that in our pre-production meeting. Yeah. There's such a powerful vibration. Music is in everyone's soul. It doesn't matter what color, creed, race, religion you are. You all listen to some kind of musical vibration, harmonic vibration in your life. It's something in there. So it holds a special kind of power. And these entertainers and these, no matter what the entertainers, ball players, if they want to be held on the pedestal, they want to be role models or not, they are. And their music and their voice has a lot of power on it. And you see a lot of rappers nowadays using that in a positive direction. And we need to see more of that. It's a great.
Let me throw this in there. Let me throw this in the mix. I was just writing it down when you was talking. You talk about the platform, right?
Yeah.
And you asked earlier why, like, a lot of people not really taking these cats serious. if you got a cat, right? If just look at this, everybody that's listening to this podcast, to just walk with me on this one, right? If you got a guy that puts music out, an album, he got 14 cuts on there, and it's all crap. It's all about, you know, sexing women, drugs, and shooting the dude that took your money. If the whole album's about that, then next thing you know, you see him on a pedestal trying to act like he's Malcolm X or something. You're gonna look at him. You should be able to question that. That is on the table, because it's almost like a contradiction. If on your album you talking about all this, you know, thug shit, this, but now you want to sit up here on the camera and act like, you know, you're some high and mighty dude. People have a right to question you about it. I'm not saying that it's wrong or right. I'm saying that people have a right to question, you know, your motives.
All right, so God, in that regard, are you talking about Snoop?
Nah, any rapper. I'm not talking about Snoop in particular. I wasn't thinking about Snoop. Well, I'm thinking about any rapper.
Let's put Snoop in the conversation, just because this is the premise of our conversation. Snoop and saying what he said. Right. Okay, because we see him on here talk positivity. We see him promote positivity when he speaks, but we also see him on the social media platform, and a lot of the criticism that he gains is that he's dancing a little bit, and he puts a lot and perpetuates a lot of the nonsense as well. And we follow Snoop. Snoop's a real strong character within the game, and yeah, he puts some positive things out, a lot, majority positive, but yeah, he puts that other shit out too. And he alludes in his interview that he's by no means perfect or by no means a saint. And Snoop, I fuck with Snoop to the day I die. One of my first albums I ever remember memorizing from top to bottom was Dog Pound. Driving up to Cleveland, Ohio, listening to Gin and Juice, and it was a dope. I had it on tape. Shit was crazy. Right. So Snoop has always been one of my idols. I think we got the same birthday, October 21st. So always been one of my idols. But I mean, you do have to ask the question, like you said, the question has to be raised. Is he part of the problem with a platform as strong as it is, perpetuating some of the nonsense?
Did he do too much damage already? Is it too much damage already done? Imagine, not to cut you off. No. All the, you know, the kids that grew up, that listened, you know, that got influenced. Because remember, music is so powerful, right? We just got finished agreeing to that. All the kids in the street that got influenced by listening to that went to jail, that killed another brother, this, that. Is it too late? What do you think? I ask you the question.
I don't think, because on the opposite side of that, how motivating was it for some people to listen to his story and see where he was? Because it was a lot, just as many people that died and fell victim of the music. It was that many amount of people that rose and gained success. I'm reading Charlamagne's book right now, Black Privilege. The privilege that comes to those who seek it, or something like that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to mispronounce the book. Dope ass book. And he alludes to that, Snoop being one of his idols, and his dad hating that shit at first, but then seeing Snoop's rise in elevation, and how Snoop motivated the Charlamagne the God. The Charlamagne the God, love him or hate him, that he's an asshole, he's honest, whatever. The dude is very, very successful, and there's a number of success stories like that. You'll have doctors and lawyers and black entrepreneurs out there to this day will tell you that they listen to Snoop Dogg albums just like we did. You wouldn't say that we're in a position right now that we're not doing positive and doing powerful things out here, and we listen to music too. So it just goes hand in hand.
I mean, you know, that's kind of an excuse to me, man. It kind of, you know, it's a little weird that you say that. I got to be real with you, because it's just like, you know what I mean? How do we measure that though? Not saying that you're wrong, but how do we measure? You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna ask you this first. Would you say that Snoop Dogg's career was more positive or more negative first? Like, would you say, you know what I mean? Because we look at his body of work. Would you say that his writing was his career more positive or negative? I mean, it's a straight question.
I'll say the body of work isn't yet completed.
Okay.
It's not yet completed.
That's straight.
I would say that right now it's teetering along the lines of becoming more positive, because we can't let the past anchor us down and be the foundation of who we are. It's not fair. If me and you were sit there and judge based off our past, it'd be fucking hard to get out of it.
I agree.
You feel me? So I'm not sitting here saying that it shouldn't be remembered, and it shouldn't be like, yeah, damn, you fucked up. But if they're sitting on platforms acknowledging their faults, if they're sitting on things, telling people and trying to school the kids on not doing what they did, how much fault can we still put on them?
That's good
at the end of the day.
And that's all I say. Yeah, no doubt. Listen to the Uncensored Truth podcast with your brother, Old God, and Sam, man. Yes. We're going all the way.